color coding for your body paragraphs. You have a whole list of different colors that correspond with different jobs that different parts of the body paragraphs will do. So you will see that I have two brown things to start with, and that's because generally a topic sentence may not have enough context about whatever it is you're writing about, for example, a novel or short story or whatever it is you're writing about, to have the first quotation you use make sense. So in quote burger speak, we call this the top bun, so we make it brown, and it can be as thick as you want, as many sentences as you want, and it will contain at least a topic sentence. And if the topic sentence itself doesn't have enough background or context, then you will add more sentences before you introduce a quotation. The words you use to introduce a quotation should be red. Leave the quotation black. Make the parenthetical citations highlighted yellow. If you change the color to yellow, I cannot read it. And then I have added a color. I have added a purple, because you have in your body paragraphs generally two quotations. You have a primary source and a literary analysis. That is the novel, short story, poem that you are examining, and secondary sources. And you'll also quote a secondary source in every body paragraph, in addition to quoting the primary source. The primary source gives textual evidence. The secondary source gives context for using a specific viewpoint to examine that character or situation in the novel, short story, or poem. So I threw in this extra color because I'm really trying to point out that you should never have two quotations back to back without some of your own words in here. So you might have a good enough understanding of what the job of each thing is in the in your literary analysis body paragraphs. But if you are struggling with that and you just know you need some of your own words between the two quotations, I'm fine with you making it all purple. If you are comfortable with this kind of task, then you'll know that after a quotation, I've asked you to always use a green sentence that comments on or reacts to or explains the significance of what you've quoted. And then the green or the purple is some more commentary with a transition to the next thing you're quoting. So it appears here that a primary source was quoted, so work of literature. When you're introducing, this is the red part, if you're introducing something said in a work of literature, use the character's name, even if they're the narrator. So if they're speaking, give that character's name. And here's a huge difference between quoting from a work of literature and quoting from a secondary source. When you are talking about a character, writing about a character, it is okay to use that character's first name. When you are referring to the author of the novel, short story, or poem, you always use either full name or last name only. So you would never say, Mary is doing this in Frankenstein. You would always say Mary Shelley or just Shelley, but never just a first name. When you are introducing a secondary source, if you have the author's name, then you will use that author's full name or just last name. So only use first names for fictional characters, so people who are not real. All right, after you have quoted the first source, this is textual evidence from the novel, then you have some of your own commentary and transition into the secondary source that helps you examine that character's motivations through a certain lens. In this case, we're using Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Then you introduce that next quotation using red, as we always do for signal phrases. Keep the quotation black. put the parenthetical citation in yellow, and then the green and brown will be the same as you have done in previous essays. The green is comment on, react to, explain the significance of what you've quoted to what you've been saying throughout the rest of the paragraph. And then the brown part could be several sentences, like we talked about with the top bun, the first part. The goal for the last sentences, and the reason it's brown, like the first sentences, is that your goal is to connect those last sentences, those ideas, with the idea you started the paragraph with, which should be an idea or a point that helps prove the thesis. So really, you should have some of the same words and phrases, some key words repeated. And students really hesitate to repeat keywords and phrases, but it's really something that, especially if you have heard that you need to unify your writing or this is not cohesive, repeating some of those keywords and phrases from the thesis in the main idea sentence of every body paragraph and the closing sentence of every body paragraph will really help you create that sense of unity. So give that a shot. Let me know if you have any questions.